the ticket price. This does not shock me at all. What did I say earlier? The WNBA was about to F around and find out, and these rival teams were going to be in a lot of trouble. Well, they're finding out.
The stadium lights faded to black. The crowd's roar swelled into a thunderous crescendo. For a fleeting moment, it felt as if the WNBA had finally broken free of gravity, soaring beyond the clouds it had chased for decades. Long dismissed, long overlooked, the league had fought tirelessly for mainstream relevance, for sold-out arenas, for a genuine cultural breakthrough. And then, almost overnight, it happened. Record-shattering viewership numbers dominated headlines. Ticket windows flashed sold out. A contagious energy surged from packed sports bars to every corner of social media. The buzz was undeniable. This was triumph, a long-awaited validation of women's basketball on the biggest stage. Then came a whisper, a routine announcement. Just a few weeks sidelined. One player, nothing more. But that single, seemingly harmless update detonated a financial shockwave that tore through the entire league. Ratings plummeted. Ticket demand cratered. Market confidence collapsed so violently it left veteran sports executives stunned. The cracks beneath the surface were suddenly impossible to ignore. Was the WNBA's meteoric rise proof of deep, sustainable growth? Or was it an illusion, an empire standing on the shoulders of one singular, magnetic superstar? The brutal, instant collapse of demand delivered an answer few were prepared to face, one that may ultimately decide not just the league's future, but its very survival, forcing an uncomfortable reckoning with a truth long whispered but never spoken aloud.
The Caitlin Clark effect has been a net positive for the WNBA and all of its teams. But the star guard expected to miss a minimum of 2 weeks. The league will see the flip side of her impact, and there are already initial data points. This is front office sports. No conspiracies, no BS from them. Statistical data.
Before the first whispers of her absence ever surfaced, the WNBA was riding a surge that felt almost unreal. Momentum was exploding. Every Indiana Fever game had become a white-hot ticket, scarce, coveted, and snapped up instantly. Fans were routinely shelling out $80 just to get through the door, while premium seats soared far beyond that. It was electric, a league-wide frenzy that sent shockwaves through front offices and arenas alike. Opposing teams and savvy venue operators responded with bold, high-stakes gambles, none louder than the Chicago Sky. In a move that stunned the league, they abandoned their 2,400-seat Wintrust Arena and relocated their marquee matchup against the Fever to the massive 21,000-seat United Center, an arena built for NBA royalty and global superstars. This wasn't a scheduling tweak. It was a massive bet, a clear, unmistakable statement that one player, one singular force, had the star power, the gravitational pull, to fill an arena of that magnitude. The league, and everyone orbiting it, was all in, wagering that her unmatched ability to draw crowds could move the masses on a historic scale.
To hit the panic button 48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded, and the market has told the WNBA, we don't want this. We want her, but we don't want.
Then the news broke. The whisper turned into a roar. The magnetic force that had pulled tens of thousands through arena doors, the player who had driven prices once thought impossible for the league, was suddenly sidelined. And the moment her absence hit the market, everything snapped. The reaction wasn't slow. It wasn't subtle. It was instant, brutal, and impossible to misread. The market responded with ruthless clarity, delivering a chilling verdict in collective silence. This isn't the WNBA we came for. We came for her. Without her presence, the product felt diminished, stripped of the very spark that made it must-see. What followed wasn't just a downturn. It was a financial freefall, a collapse. That same Chicago Sky versus Fever matchup at the United Center, once commanding premium prices, saw its cheapest tickets crash from $86 to a meager $25 overnight. A staggering 71% drop. One gut punch of a fall from anticipated spectacle to the edge of financial failure. And this wasn't a one-off anomaly, not a statistical fluke. The exact same implosion unfolded again when the Fever traveled to face the Mystics on the road, proof that the shockwave wasn't local. It was systemic.
Chicago Sky can't sell out their own 9,000-something seat arena like it is. They couldn't when they were kind of decent. They're a dumpster fire now. And now that Caitlin Clark is injured, oh, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
What had once been a highly coveted ticket, selling comfortably at $41, suddenly shrank to just $22. A ruthless 47% drop that sent shockwaves through fans and, undoubtedly, front offices alike. And this wasn't limited to a single matchup. Looking across a wider sample of 5 key Fever games over a 2-week stretch, the damage became even clearer. The average ticket price, which had previously surged to an impressive $137, collapsed to only $80 following the injury announcement. That's a staggering triggering 42% decline in a matter of weeks, an unmistakable signal of just how severe and unforgiving the market's reaction truly was.
They stink now. Yeah, it's about me too. No, it's not, and this is proof.
These weren't small swings or harmless dips in fan interest. They were loud, unmistakable verdicts delivered by the audience itself. No Clark, no tickets. Demand was directly, inescapably, linked to her presence on the floor. When she wasn't playing, the atmosphere evaporated. The building felt hollow, the energy drained away before the opening tip, leaving behind an eerie emptiness where excitement once pulsed. That dramatic shift exposed a deeply uncomfortable reality. The league's widely celebrated surge in popularity, the enthusiasm hailed as proof of lasting, league-wide growth, was, in truth, alarmingly fragile. Its momentum was overwhelmingly concentrated around a single, irreplaceable star.
To games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, an average ticket price of $137, all the way down to $80.
This wasn't merely the unlucky inconvenience of a star being forced to the sidelines. It was a harsh, unsparing exposure of the WNBA's long-standing structural fragility. The data, cold, precise, and merciless, offered undeniable proof of what many had quietly suspected and others had only dared to voice in private. Caitlin Clark wasn't just another player. She was the singular, irrefutable engine powering the entire WNBA machine. The league, it seemed, moved only because she did, everyone else riding along, hoping to benefit from the glow of her brilliance. The recent surge in popularity, those electric sellout crowds, the viral social media explosion, the soaring ticket prices, had all been celebrated as the birth of a new era, evidence of broad and lasting appeal. Instead, this moment exposed an uncomfortable reality, just how much of that hard-won momentum rested on one extraordinary individual. The WNBA, as it became painfully clear, lacked a deep reserve of equally marketable stars. There was no wide cast of compelling personalities capable of sustaining the frenzy when its primary attraction was no longer on the floor.
People are selling their tickets, definitely can't get face value, so what do? They just continue to lower and lower and lower and lower and lower the price. This isn't all resellers, folks. Hate to break it to you. A majority of these are everyday normal people. A majority of these are everyday normal people who watch Caitlin Clark in Iowa, watch her in her first year in Indiana, said, man, I want to watch that. I want to go to those games. I want to experience that. They won't be able to experience it.
This demanded a harsh, unflinching reality check, one that couldn't be ignored. If a brief absence could trigger such a widespread, catastrophic collapse in demand, what did that reveal about the league's fundamental stability? It raised deep, unsettling questions about its long-term viability and its ability to endure the inevitable pressures of professional sports. The issue extended beyond individual games. It encompassed the league's entire economic ecosystem, even its marquee matchups, the highly anticipated rivalries touted as symbols of growth and emerging popularity. Take, for example, the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever. Once a showcase of the WNBA's new wave of excitement, its intrinsic value evaporated without her presence. The grand vision of packed arenas and electric atmospheres for these flagship events dissolved into haunting images of empty seats, a stark reminder of a gamble gone disastrously wrong. The league's reliance on Clark's singular drawing power became glaringly apparent, visible not only in ticket sales but in a chilling drop in energy, a perceptible shift in atmosphere felt even by casual fans. This wasn't a typical star injury, where supporters might grumble yet still attend out of habit or loyalty. The WNBA's numbers screamed that Clark's absence constituted a full-blown crisis, threatening the league's hard-won march toward mainstream legitimacy. The concentration of growth around one player meant that without her, the rising tide narrative collapsed, leaving numerous teams struggling to stay afloat.
I mean, it's more statistical proof, data, to confirm exactly what we've been saying, that Caitlin Clark is driving this whole ship, this whole bus. She's driving it. Everybody else, get in the back. Get in the back.
With Caitlin Clark suddenly sidelined, a sharp, sometimes unforgiving spotlight shifted almost instantly onto Angel Reese. For many observers, she appeared the natural choice to step up, to assume the weight of public attention. Reese, after all, brought undeniable charisma, a distinctive trend-setting style, and a powerful off-court persona that resonated strongly with a devoted segment of fans. She was, in many ways, omnipresent in media narratives, always part of the conversation, never hesitant to assert her influence. She had even boldly claimed that audiences tuned in specifically for her, a statement that highlighted her perceived status as an independent draw. The league, eager to find another figure capable of sustaining the surge in public interest, watched closely, holding its collective breath to determine whether her formidable personal brand and celebrity could generate the same level of ticket sales and media buzz that Clark had commanded.
The marquee matchup in the WNBA, like it or love it, rivalry or not, Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, that is the marquee matchup in the WNBA, and those tickets are crashing just as well. From $86 48 hours ago to $25. And by the time June 7th rolls around, it might cost you a bag of Skittles and some Lay's potato chips to get in there.
But the numbers told a far more uncomfortable story, one sharply at odds with the media hype. Once Clark was off the floor, all pressure and expectation fell on Reese to prove she could match Clark's draw, generate the same market frenzy. So far, the market's verdict has been brutally clear, not quite. Take the Chicago Sky versus Fever game at the United Center, planned as a marquee Reese versus Clark showdown. The moment Clark was ruled out, the plan collapsed. Ticket demand cratered. Energy fizzled. The massive arena felt empty, far too large for the occasion. This wasn't a one-off pricing issue. The drop reflected a deeper trend. Other high-profile games, like the Mystics versus Fever in Baltimore, saw tickets plunge even with Reese as the centerpiece. What had sold for $41 fell to $22, a 47% drop, revealing starkly lower fan engagement than Clark's games. Even in markets where Reese's presence was undeniable, where she should have driven excitement, the hype failed to translate into the same frenzied ticket activity. But the numbers told a far more uncomfortable story, one sharply at odds with the media hype. Once Clark was off the floor, all pressure and expectation fell on Reese to prove she could match Clark's draw, generate the same market frenzy. So far, the market's verdict has been brutally clear, not quite. Take the Chicago Sky versus Fever game at the United Center, planned as a marquee Reese versus Clark showdown. The moment Clark was ruled out, the plan collapsed. Ticket demand cratered. Energy fizzled. The massive arena felt empty, far too large for the occasion. This wasn't a one-off pricing issue. The drop reflected a deeper trend. Other high-profile games, like the Mystics versus Fever in Baltimore, saw tickets plunge even with Reese as the centerpiece. What had sold for $41 fell to $22, a 47% drop, revealing starkly lower fan engagement than Clark's games. Even in markets where Reese's presence was undeniable, where she should have driven excitement, the hype failed to translate into the same frenzied ticket activity.